Imagine a moment when everything you've ever known begins to dissolve. The routines, the patterns, the relationships, all of it starts to feel different. It's not a visible shift, but something profound, deeper than what the eye can see. It's as if your life is moving under the surface, and you can feel it. You may not be able to put your finger on it, but there's no denying it. Something big is happening. You're not the same person you were yesterday, and as you step into this new chapter of your journey, you realize there's no going back. This is the beginning of your spiritual awakening, and it's a path that will transform every aspect of who you are. It's beautiful and terrifying all at once, but the deeper you go, the more you understand one essential truth. In order to grow, you must let go. Now, I want you to stay with me for the next few minutes. This video is going to dive deep into the 6 things that highly spiritual people gradually quit as they awaken to their true nature. These are not just habits you can drop overnight. These are deeply ingrained aspects of our lives, things we hold onto out of fear, comfort, or societal conditioning. But as you'll discover, letting go of these things will set you free. I encourage you to watch this video more than once if you need to. The ideas and shifts we're discussing are subtle, yet powerful, and they require reflection to fully understand. And as you watch, I invite you to share your experiences in the comments below. What have you found yourself slowly quitting as you've grown spiritually? Your insights could help others on their journey, so don't hesitate to share your story with the community. Now, let's dive into these 6 things that highly spiritual people quit as they awaken to their true selves. Part 1. The need for external validation. In today's world, it seems like validation is everywhere. We scroll through social media, constantly measuring our worth based on how many likes, comments, or followers we have. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that our value is determined by external approval. How many times have we caught ourselves looking for someone else's confirmation, hoping to feel seen or accepted? But here's the truth that spiritual awakening reveals: true validation, the kind that lasts and truly nourishes your soul, can only come from within. As you grow spiritually, you begin to slowly release this need for external validation. You stop relying on others to define your self-worth and instead learn to trust and value yourself. This is one of the most powerful shifts you can make in your journey toward personal freedom. Now, I know it's not always easy to break free from the cycle of seeking approval. I've struggled with it myself, especially in my younger years. I remember feeling as though my worth was tied directly to how others saw me, whether it was how I looked, what I did, or how much attention I received. I let those external factors dictate my inner sense of self. Perhaps you've experienced this too. It's exhausting, isn't it? Constantly adjusting yourself to fit other people's expectations, only to realize that it doesn't bring lasting peace or fulfillment. Over time, though, something profound started to shift in me. I began to realize that people's opinions of me were more a reflection of their own life experiences, fears, and insecurities than an accurate measure of my inherent worth. I learned that seeking validation from the outside world was like chasing the wind. It was never truly satisfying. And that's when the concept of self-validation started to make sense. A beautiful example of this journey is seen in the life of Oprah Winfrey. Oprah has often spoken about how her moment of real freedom came when she stopped worrying about how others saw her. She shared in one of her interviews that she spent years seeking approval, both personally and professionally, before she realized the power of self-validation. In her own words, "The moment I stopped caring what people thought of me is when I started to truly live." Oprah realized that no one, no matter how influential, could define her value except for herself. This deep, inner knowing helped her step into her true power, enabling her to inspire millions of people around the world to do the same. When you quit the need for external validation, you free yourself. You no longer feel tethered to the opinions of others, and instead, you become grounded in your own sense of worth. This is a gradual process. First, the external noise might still feel loud and overwhelming, but as you continue to nurture your inner voice, the opinions of others begin to fade into the background. And the only thing that matters is your inner truth. It's not about becoming indifferent to others. It's about realizing that their judgments don't define you, and that your own self-worth is sacred and unshakable. Part 2. Attachment to material possessions. Now that we've talked about releasing the need for validation, let's turn our focus to another critical shift that comes with spiritual awakening: letting go of material attachments. In a world that constantly equates success with material wealth, fancy cars, designer clothes, and the perfect house, it can be hard to imagine life without these things. We're conditioned to think that acquiring more will bring us happiness and fulfillment. But as you embark on your spiritual journey, you begin to see these material possessions for what they really are: temporary, fleeting, and ultimately unfulfilling. This isn't to say that material things are inherently bad. After all, they serve a purpose. But as you grow spiritually, you begin to see that your true sense of abundance is not measured by what you own, but by who you are. It's about the richness of your inner world, the love you give, the joy you cultivate, and the deep connections you share with others. I've had moments in my own life when I thought that if I just had the latest gadget, the newest car, or a bigger house, I would finally feel successful or happy. But what I learned over time is that these things didn't bring lasting happiness. True contentment, turns out, isn't something you can buy. It's something you cultivate from within. Consider the example of someone like Marie Kondo, the organizing expert and author of The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. She advocates for letting go of possessions that don't spark joy. And through her work, she has shown the world that decluttering your life can lead to deeper clarity and happiness. The more we let go of material attachments, the more we make space for what truly matters: experiences, personal growth, and meaningful connections. As you begin to detach from the belief that material things define you, you make room for a life that's richer in ways that truly matter. The simple moments become more significant: the quiet mornings, the laughter shared with friends, the peace you feel when you sit in nature, disconnected from the chaos of consumption. You begin to realize that true abundance isn't about owning more things. It's about becoming more fully yourself. Part 3. The need for control. Now, let's move into another deeply transformative aspect of spiritual awakening: the release of control. Many of us grow up believing that we must control every aspect of our lives to ensure success and happiness. We want to control our future, control the outcomes of our actions, and even control how others see us. But as you deepen your spiritual understanding, you begin to realize that control is, in fact, an illusion. This is not to say that we become passive or indifferent about our lives. Rather, it's about recognizing that the more we try to control the outcome of every situation, the more we resist the natural flow of life. Think about it. How many times have you found yourself stressed out, trying to force something to happen? And in those moments, did you feel more aligned with your true self or more anxious and disconnected? I've certainly experienced this. In my younger years, I was constantly trying to control everything, from my career to my relationships. I believed that if I just worked hard enough, planned carefully enough, or exerted enough energy, everything would fall into place. But the more I tried to control, the more chaotic and frustrating life seemed. And that's when I began to realize, the more we try to control, the more we push against the natural rhythms of life. This is a concept that is beautifully illustrated by the teachings of Lao Tzu, the ancient Chinese philosopher. He said, "If you want to awaken all of humanity, then awaken all of yourself. If you want to eliminate the suffering in the world, then eliminate all that is dark and negative in yourself." Lao Tzu's teachings emphasize the importance of surrender and letting life unfold as it will. As you begin to release the need for control, you make space for something greater: divine timing. You learn to trust the process of life and surrender to the unfolding of your path. This doesn't mean you become passive or inactive. It means you set your intentions, take inspired action, and then let go of the attachment to the outcome, trusting in the flow of life. You begin to find peace in the uncertainty and beauty in the unknown. Part 4. Toxic relationships. As your spiritual awareness deepens, the next important shift is recognizing and releasing toxic relationships. These are the people in your life who drain your energy, keep you stuck in old patterns, or prevent you from growing. We all have them, relationships that feel more like obligations than genuine connections. But as you evolve spiritually, you begin to understand that these relationships no longer serve your highest good. I can relate to this shift personally. There were people in my life who, although I loved them, didn't support my growth or align with my values. It was painful to let go of these relationships, especially when they had been part of my life for so long. But as I started to grow spiritually, I realized that I needed to surround myself with people who uplifted me, who supported my journey, and who encouraged me to become the best version of myself. One powerful example of this can be seen in the life of Tony Robbins, the world-renowned motivational speaker. Robbins talks about the importance of leveling up the people you surround yourself with. He stresses that the people you spend the most time with have a profound impact on your mindset, your energy, and your growth. When Robbins made the decision to distance himself from toxic relationships, he opened the door to new opportunities and healthier connections. Releasing toxic relationships allows you to make room for people who resonate with your true self, those who inspire, support, and challenge you to grow. It's not always easy, but it's necessary for your spiritual evolution. Part 5. Compromising your authentic self. In a world that often feels like it's constantly telling us how to look and think, it's no surprise that many of us fall into the trap of compromising our authentic selves. From a young age, society pressures us to conform, whether it's through the clothes we wear, the career paths we choose, or the way we interact with others. We wear masks to fit in, to avoid judgment, and to gain acceptance. But here's the paradox. When we compromise who we truly are, we often feel a deep sense of dissatisfaction. We might gain approval from others, but we lose a piece of ourselves in the process. As you embark on your spiritual journey, one of the most transformative realizations you will encounter is that compromising your authentic self only leads to inner conflict. The more you suppress your true nature, the more disconnected you feel from your core. You begin to understand that true fulfillment comes from embracing who you really are, flaws, quirks, and all. This shift towards authenticity is not instantaneous, but it's incredibly liberating. Over time, highly spiritual people gradually quit the habit of pretending to be someone they're not. Instead of trying to fit into society's predefined molds, they start to embrace their unique qualities, knowing that their individuality is what makes them whole. The process is gradual. It's not about becoming perfect or fixing yourself, but rather about giving yourself permission to exist exactly as you are. One powerful example of someone who embodies this shift is Lady Gaga. For years, Lady Gaga faced intense criticism for her eccentric fashion choices, bold personality, and unapologetic approach to life. Early in her career, she was ridiculed for being too much, too extravagant, too loud, too unconventional. But instead of shrinking herself to fit societal expectations, she leaned into her authenticity. She embraced her eccentricity and turned it into a powerful form of self-expression. Lady Gaga's refusal to compromise her authenticity resonated deeply with millions of people, especially those who also felt like they didn't fit the traditional mold. Her journey is a testament to the power of self-acceptance. In embracing her true self, Lady Gaga didn't just find success. She built a global community of fans who love her for exactly who she is. And the beauty of it is this: when you stop compromising who you are for the sake of others, you naturally attract people and opportunities that resonate with your true essence. Living authentically isn't always easy, especially when you've spent so much of your life trying to conform. There will be moments when fear creeps in: fear of judgment, fear of rejection, fear of being misunderstood. But the truth is, when you allow yourself to be authentically you begin to attract people who genuinely appreciate you, your real friends, your real connections, and your true opportunities all flow towards you when you stop pretending. And most importantly, you'll find a deep sense of fulfillment that comes from knowing you are living in alignment with your soul. It's important to understand that this doesn't mean being rebellious for the sake of it or rejecting everything society offers. It's about choosing authenticity over approval, self-expression over fitting in. For many, the journey towards embracing their authentic self begins with small steps. Perhaps a change in how you dress, how you speak, or how you engage with others. Slowly, these changes compound, and you begin to feel more connected to your true nature. The more you embrace your authenticity, the more peace you will find. And just like Lady Gaga, you might not always fit into the box that society has created for you. But that's okay. Your true power comes when you realize that you don't need to fit anyone's mold but your own. Now that we've explored the importance of embracing our authentic selves, let's move on to one of the most profound shifts that comes with spiritual awakening, the release of the fear of death. Part 6. The fear of death. Finally, one of the most profound shifts in spiritual awakening is the gradual release of the fear of death. Death, in the spiritual context, is not an end, it is a transition. As you awaken to your true essence, you begin to understand that the soul is eternal, and death is merely a doorway to another dimension of existence. I've personally found that as I embraced my spiritual path, my fear of death diminished. Instead of fearing the unknown, I began to see death as a natural part of life's cycle. This shift allows you to live more fully in the present moment, appreciating life's impermanence and beauty. The Dalai Lama once said, "Death is a part of life. We should not fear it, but embrace it." This is the ultimate freedom. When you stop fearing death, you begin to live in alignment with the flow of life, appreciating every moment for its transience and beauty. Spiritual awakening is not a quick or easy process. It's a gradual journey, one that takes time, patience, and self-compassion. The 6 things we've discussed: the need for external validation, attachment to material possessions, the desire for control, toxic relationships, and compromising your authentic self, are all aspects of life that you slowly release as you awaken to your true nature. It's not about perfection. It's about progress. As you continue on your spiritual journey, remember to trust the process. Trust that you are exactly where you need to be. Each step, no matter how small, brings you closer to your true self, your higher purpose, and a life that is deeply aligned with your soul. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What have you found yourself gradually letting go of on your spiritual journey? Share your experiences in the comments below. Your insights might be just what someone else needs to hear on their path to awakening. Let's continue to support each other in this beautiful process of growth.